Hello, welcome to another live on Wednesday. It's 8 p.m. Australian time, 11 a.m. in the UK, and 3 or 6 a.m. in the US. Today I've got Lisa Towers from Simply Anxious joining me. Sorry, I'm a bit out of breath. I've only just got here. I was recording a podcast with someone and I've just got in the door. So let's get Lisa in.
Oh,
Whoops, here she is. Hi, Lisa.
you hear me?
I can now. Yes.
Take it off.
Cutting out
Can
a
you
little
hear
bit.
me? Yeah.
I can now. Yes.
Hi. How are you?
Good. And yourself? I've only just run in the door. I was recording a podcast with LJV Coaching, Leandra, who's here.
Oh, nice.
And then we realised the time, and I said, "Oh, I've got to go because I've got to get home to do a live with Lisa."
Well, I've been up, I've been out, I've done a 3-mile walk with the dogs, jumped in the shower, and here I am.
Wow, fantastic.
Ready for you.
Before we start, let's just let everybody know that if they want to comment or add comments or ask questions, they can do so. We'll answer them if we can.
Hi.
And hello to Leandra, who's just said hello. The dog's a bit crazy here because I've only just seen her for today. So we'll go.
Well, I'm hoping my dogs are relaxed because they've been for the walk, but they can hear your voice because I've not got my headphones on. So who knows? Who knows?
Call them by name.
No, don't.
It's the same as whenever I do a podcast and I'm talking about that virtual assistant that we can use, and I daren't say the name in case it comes on and starts talking to me.
Do you know, that happened to me last night. Someone said it on the telly. It's madness.
Yeah, it's not good, and I always forget to turn it off before I start recording, and then she pops and starts asking me what I want. So how are you, Lisa?
Absolutely.
It's good to have you back. I have had quite a few requests for you to come back. People loved our last talk.
You. That's really kind. That's really kind. I'm fine. I've had, I don't know, I think maybe the time of year, you know, with Easter and everything, it kind of goes, everywhere you look is all about family.
Yeah.
And I live on my own, which I like. I love that. Well, I live with 3 whippets. And obviously my mum's in a care home and she's got dementia. And then my dad passed 2 years ago. And I don't have anything to do with my brothers. And my son's got his own life. And I don't know, it kind of really hit me this Easter. And I don't even celebrate it, which is a bizarre thing. But I've spoke to a friend who's a psychologist, and she was saying that, you know, even though grief, you know, I grieve my mum even though she's still alive because she's no longer there, and then and my dad, it doesn't like go 6 months, you've done your grieving, now that's it can come back. And that's what I think happened. So I was just gentle with myself and did a lot of naturey stuff and planted some dahlias. Are they called dahlias?
Dahlias.
Dahlias, that's it.
Yeah.
Dahlias.
Are they the ones that are like all the little kind of like round sort of flower?
Aren't they amazing? Oh, thank you, Clarence. I'm so pleased that you said that because I've been having imposter syndrome over that as well. I think.
And look, we're going to talk about it today because I got my copy from the UK, and you can see by all the tabs in it that I've read it, Lisa.
Oh, thank you. But yeah,
because
so
go on.
I think yesterday I listened to a podcast, and I love your podcast, but this one really touched me. Well, it's because it's got one of the guys on that I absolutely no, he taught me so much while I was recovering, and everything he says, it just makes sense to me. And it's Michael Singer, the guy who wrote The Untethered Soul, and he's on a podcast with Russell Brand. So I put it in my stories. If you've got a spare hour, you're doing something, just put your headphones on and listen to what Michael Singer says. It's kind of, it's just great. You know, it's another one of those, why didn't they teach us this in school?
Definitely. There's so much that we could have been taught. And look, I mean, my nephew now is he's 19 today. And when I look at what he's learning, and, you know, like they did last year or the year before, they did a semester on easy psychology. And I was having great conversations with him, and I'm thinking, wow, if only we'd learnt this when we were at school, we would have been able to leave school and know a bit more about ourselves before we went on to do what we did.
Or how to care for ourselves, not just how to succeed and destroy ourselves in the process. Because that's what usually happens.
Yeah. And you're right about grieving as well, because grieving, you know, it just takes, you can get over something, you can grieve it and move through it. But I think that when you really feel like you've worked your way through it, that's when something comes back and you go, oh, actually, no, I hadn't thought about that. Or, you know, you have a day where you just cry all day and you think, what's going on? You know, it's just life.
Or a song will play.
Oh, they're the whippets.
You've had a really lovely, you know, you're feeling great, everything's brilliant, and then a song will play and it's like, woof. It kind of comes down, and it's because your mind remembers, you know, and sometimes when this is the first time I've lost my nan and my granddad. I was younger and I was close to them, but not like I was with my dad. Yeah. And so I've had times where I'm great with my dad, talking to him and grateful to him. But then other days I wish I could be 14 again and walking home knowing that my mum and dad are there.
Yeah.
Bizarre, but I feel that. And then, so I've done quite a bit on inner child stuff, which I'm still learning and I'm still doing, because I just want to, you know, I'm not unrealistic where I think I can get to a place where I never experience anxiety, never experience sadness, and I'm going to dance around the daisies for the rest of my life. Life isn't like that. I mean, life turns up the heat, and that's out of our control sometimes. So I just want to be in a place where I can deal with it much better, and dealing with it much better means embracing it and being kind to yourself while you're going through it. So
I must admit, when you said music, my sister died when I was 34 and she was 42. And we used to like a band called the Go-Betweens. I don't know if you know them. Yeah. And so if ever a Go-Between song comes on in the car, I either have to pull over and cry it out, or I have to just turn the radio off, because I know it's just, and I love the Go-Betweens, but I haven't been able to listen to them for what, 20, no, not 20 years. I'm not that old, but nearly.
You're not that old yet. You know? Give it another, we'll do a podcast in 20 other more years.
Now we must just say hello to Redette, because Redette comes in every week.
I love Redette. She's amazing.
Great. And I think she was one of the ones that said that she wanted us to come back again.
Oh, brilliant. She's amazing.
So, should we start this wonderful book? Did you see my my update I did when I received it? I think I was reading it like that.
Yeah. It looked like you were right in it, like you'd forgot your reading glasses.
Luckily, I don't need reading glasses just yet.
Oh, right, okay.
Yogini V. Being like D to yourself is very, very hard when you always have looked out for others. Being kind, I meant.
And you know, that is really true. And I was that person. I didn't include myself in my life. I never asked myself how I am or what I wanted. I just battered with the inner turmoil that not acknowledging myself or being myself or caring for myself was cultivating, basically, and everything was about everyone else, and or me trying to change me to please everyone else. So I've been exactly where you are, Yogini. Boundaries. People said to me, set boundaries. I'm like, I've got time to set boundaries. But the boundaries I set now is, oh God, I just forwarded another quote on my story that said, the only person, I can't remember it now, but it's the only person you have to basically impress is yourself.
Exactly.
And I kept seeing signs like that. And I kept thinking, God, but I'm not doing that. I'm just not doing that. And if I do this, what if they go? But, you know, I took the advice of what to do to get to a place of a better relationship with yourself, where you're in a place of, I'm not saying calm, sat under a tree all day, but just niceness instead of pain and anxiety and hating yourself. And it's like, now I have set boundaries. I've cut people off. I've made changes in my life, and I absolutely, I haven't done it viciously. I've done it because I really need to, I owe it to myself to be me.
Yeah.
And if people walk away, let them, because like that Michael Singer thing says, say for example, someone's driving a car and they get, I saw it this morning actually, a driver, and it wasn't that reaction, it wasn't because someone had pissed him off driving the car. That's because he's got stuff inside him, like anger and sadness and rage and fear, and it's just he's putting it outside of himself, but he don't really know how to deal with it. And that's what I had. And so I've totally gone off track now. I'm sorry.
But look, exactly what you're saying.
Do those boundaries, even little ones, and that's kind of sending a message. Well, it sent a message to myself, to me, saying, I am listening to you, Lisa, and I do care about you. In a woo-woo sort of way, but woo-woo rocks.
Well, I was just going to add to that. Sometimes when someone yells or screams at you out of their car, you know, I've had friends who have gone to me, oh, this guy pulled in front of me and he was screaming and shouting and I didn't do anything wrong, blah, blah, blah. And I go, look, what we have to do is just forgive that person and say, look, we don't know what's going on in their life today. They could just be an asshole, or they could have a pregnant wife, or they could have some troubles at home. You know, there's a load of things that could be running through their head, and that's why they screamed and cut you off. So don't take it personally, because otherwise you're just going to internalize it, and you're never going to meet this person to say, you pulled in front of me and I was pissed off. Just let it go.
That is so true. And you're going to cause yourself suffering unnecessarily.
And anxiety.
You can't change it. Yeah. So you're going to add to the negativeness. When he was a knob, let's move on. Yeah. That's kind of what I did with my exes. He was a knob, let's move on. I'm sorry.
No, that's good. I love it. So you just talked about people pleasers, which I really liked in here. And I did do a podcast with a guy a couple of weeks ago. And he said to me, look, because he's a psychologist, I want to do one on people pleasers. And I was a bit like, oh, is he having a go at me? Because he knows I'm always helping people. And then as we went through the podcast, I'm thinking, that's what?
Is there a hidden message there? That's like me. Why have they done that?
Yeah. And so we start the podcast and he says, look, you know, I'm a bit of a people pleaser. I'm sure you are. Where would you rate yourself? Blah, blah, blah. And as we went through the podcast, I started to realize, yeah, I do give too much of myself at times and I don't focus on myself. And it did make me change a few things. I don't know if I still have changed them, but at the time I was like, I have to be more conscious about the fact that, yes, it's great to help people and to be there for them, but you have to realize that you have to put yourself first, because there is a lot of times when you help people and then you ask for some help, where are they? You know, and it's not, I don't help people to get a help back, But, you know, you realize then that, you know, I gave up my Sunday morning because you wanted to do this, and I just need you to help me with this, and you're nowhere to be found. Do you know what I mean? And when I read your
Unfortunately,
people pleasers here,
people are
it was
like
good.
that though. They are like that. And so rather than get frustrated and angry and upset because somebody hasn't reacted how you'd like them to, or you expected them to, you know, even if it would have been really proper of them to do that, you can't change it. So don't carry it. Just and it's really hard, and it was hard for me because my go-to was to people please, and I obviously learned that through childhood, growing up, and in school I was bullied, and then I had, obviously I've spoken about it before, ridiculed all my life practically by my sibling. So it's really hard because you get that pull, you know, when people say, oh, can you I'm suffering, and do you do coaching? And I'm finishing actually a coaching certificate course, which is really intense, because I will do coaching, because I see how so many people need help, and I think there's room for everyone, because like, so top psychologists and psychotherapists have waiting lists. They can't cope. The governments aren't doing much. So and I feel confident.
And look,
that
Lisa, can I just say
I can deal with any of the backlash that comes with that. What I wouldn't do is therapy, because I'm not a therapist. I'm not a therapist, and I wouldn't even try to be. If I wanted to be a therapist, I would have trained. But I feel if I can't help someone, I feel so guilty. I feel like I really want to, but you've got to know your boundaries.
And look, what I wanted to say to you is that when we've spoken before, you know, doing your certificate in life coaching is great, because you're coming from the position of lived experience. And I was just talking to Leandra before in our podcast, and we were talking about a few things that happened in her life. And, you know, what she's been through, what you've been through, it gives you an opportunity to have better insight into what's happening for that person you're talking to. And that, as I've said before as well, is not, I don't disagree with psychologists, counsellors. I'm a counsellor, but lived experience and being able to connect on that empathetic level is what you can bring that psychologists who have learnt everything but never had anxiety can't. And so there's nothing wrong with you getting your certificate and then getting out there and helping people and being paid for it, because you have the knowledge in your head and you have the experience.
I think I'm more of a motivator, a reassurer, if you like, with purpose. Because like you said, I've been through it, I've lived through it, so I know. And I know it's worth the effort. And yeah, anyway, I'm coming to the world as Lisa. That's all I can be.
Well, why would you have to be anything other than Lisa, a life coach with experience, with what's happened in your life and how you've channeled it and changed your life to be able to help support other people? That's the best that you can give, and that's awesome. That's amazing. I mean, I studied loads of different things in counselling. Some of the things I'll probably never ever use in my life, but I still studied them. And, you know, there are other things that I went, actually, that's what I want. And do you know what? I've studied counselling. I'm a professional counsellor. I don't do counselling, because I've found that working in the business I do, helping people with an intellectual disability and mental health issues is a lot better than what I can do for someone sitting in a chair talking to them.
Yeah, absolutely. So the people pleasing in the book.
Yeah. And now look, see, I did put all these little tags in, Lisa, but I didn't actually write on them where we were. So I was trying before to look at where people pleasing was. Do you have a page number?
Well, I have a contents.
Oh, is there contents at the back?
In the front.
Oh, see, I didn't even look at that.
Oh, well. No, give me the page then.
I don't know.
Sorry,
I'm trying
guys.
to find it.
We're not rehearsed.
No, we're not rehearsed, because this is how it should be. My is it nearer the back or nearer the front? There's so much information in here, guys. You just need to buy the book and read it, because I get sent loads and loads of books to do on the podcast. And this was one that was really easy to read, was really easy to understand everything Lisa was talking about. I loved how you put your favorite posts in the back. I loved how you talked about your favorite podcasts.
I mean, I had a bit of a, you know, you get self-doubt. We all get self-doubt. And
People pleasing, yeah.
My self-doubt was, it's not academic. I'm not an academic. But one of my friends who is an author and an academic author, if you like.
Can I just stop you? Can I just stop you a sec? Because 2 people have asked what the name of the book is. It's called Simply Anxious by Lisa Towers. I will put
it's called Simply Anxious, Notes on Anxiety Recovery.
You know, I didn't even read that bit on the book.
See, I told you needed glasses. Nothing wrong with glasses. A book to bring you hope, inspire change, and empower you on your anxiety recovery journey.
And this has so many different bits and pieces in, which I wouldn't have even thought you would have covered. So it was really good. I especially liked that you said about your toolbox or your safety tools when you went out, because I think that would resonate with a lot of people who think, oh, should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? But to just see it, that what you needed when you went out, because I've told you before, I had panic attacks when I was about 23, and I had a bottle of
vodka.
No, not vodka. A bottle of I can't remember what they were called. But they were like a medication.
Lucozade.
No, and when I went out, as long as I had them with me, I didn't have a panic attack. You know, but they did help me. And you know, when you see that someone else has put that there and it's in a book, people will go, actually, I don't have to be ashamed of having medication.
And I know there is a lot of emphasis on you've got to get rid of your safety behaviours. Yeah, you do. But the more your confidence grows, the more they'll get rid of themselves. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rather than, oh my God, I've got to go out and I'm not allowed to take a bottle of water with me. There's no, take the water with you. It doesn't, you know, I got tied up in this rigid sort of what should be and what shouldn't be to get you to a point of recovery. And I think that got me more and more overwhelmed, because I wasn't ready to leave my bottle of water, or I wasn't ready. And you're the one recovering. So I just decided I'm going to do it my way, but with the guidance of, you know, the core way of doing it. But yeah, I'm going to tailor it to suit me, and obviously go at my own pace. And that was actually the turning point, because I'd had loads of people forcing me to do stuff, friends forcing me to go places, and I'd go, and it was just all stimulating. It was doing more damage than good, if you like.
Yeah. And it does, doesn't it? Because you're not only going through your own anxiety at the time and trying to deal with that, but then you're having extra things put on top of you, like, oh, you have to come here, and you don't want to go because you want to try and work through what you're doing. Yeah. So that compounds your anxiety. It doesn't actually help you. And people think that, oh, no, just come with me will make you feel better. But it doesn't. It doesn't help.
And I had this. A hand come in and went, and you don't need that, so leave that there. Come on. Well, I actually do. At the moment, I do need that. So I would say, you know you, and, you know, go with, Glenn was saying from Panic to Paris, he did running to overcome his anxiety with his medication in his shoe.
Yeah.
And he had it in his shoe for years. Well, you know, and I was the same. So I think we need to be kinder with that. You know, going back to being kind to yourself is know that it's hard enough going out and facing it anyway, but build up slowly. And once your confidence goes, those, you know, the rucksack with half the library in the back will eventually go.
Look, you're right there, because I know that when I was taking that medication, I didn't even need to take it, but I needed it with me. I can't remember what it was called.
Me too.
But my dad would say to me, "You don't need that now." And I go, "I don't need it, but I need it with me." Because when I have it with me, I feel secure that if I have a panic attack, I've got that tablet to take to calm me down. But you don't need it. And I go, "Look, I know what I need, and I'm taking it with me." You know,
and it's progress. You know, it's a process. It's about progress, but progress can be minute, because some of the, you know, at the end of the day, let's be honest, that fear feels real, and it is real.
Definitely. Yeah.
You know, it's exactly the same response that you would get if you were swimming in a peaceful, I don't know, swimming pool and Jaws came out to get you. No, but you would. It's the same. It's the same. And people who haven't experienced anxiety don't realise that the actual fear is a feeling of terror, and it absolutely is. So
well, when I had those panic attacks, I was in the middle of a shopping centre. I was doing so much stuff, working all these different businesses I was running. I wasn't a megalomaniac, but all of a sudden I just started crying, and I was in a ball on the floor, and a lady came up to me and said, "Are you all right?" And I'm like, and I thought I was dying. And she says, "All right, just calm down, take a breath." And after about 5 minutes, I calmed down and I was all right. But then I went to the doctor and I said, "I don't know what happened, but this happened." And he said, "You're having panic attacks. Let's put you on this, go and see a psychologist, and we'll see how we go." Well, I saw the psychologist a couple of times. And then, as I say, I needed the medication with me for at least a year, maybe 2 years, because that was my security blanket, because I knew if that happens again, I've got this. And then eventually I was able to work myself off needing that and be able to calm myself down. But, you know, those sort of security blankets are important when you're in that state, because you need to know.
Yeah. And so this book isn't academic. It is by me, who went through all that, safety behaviours and all. When I go out now, I do carry water, but that's because one of my self-care is that I'm hydrated, and I walk in the middle of the Derbyshire.
You walk for 3 miles.
There's no water, you know, so...
Unless you go to a stream.
God, yeah, can you imagine? Bits of Sheffield and start floating past.
Okay, so look, I found the page 26, people pleasing.
Sorry guys if we're going off the what page is it?
26.
86.
26.
Sorry.
Am I not speaking very well tonight? I have just done an hour podcast with someone. All right, good. All right, look.
Yeah, so...
I don't think we actually need to know the page anyway, do we? We just know what you 26, said before
but
is exactly what's in it.
I start with it, wow, this had to change, because I had been at it for years, putting people in front of my own needs, even if it made me ill, which was true.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm alone there. And so... this is another thing I kind of mention in here is you can, when you're recovering, there's lots of things that contribute to sensitizing your nervous system. So if you go out and practice exposure therapy, but you don't stop doing the other things like people pleasing, like, I don't know, like me drinking wine as a relaxant at night, late nights, anything that, you know, is classed as unhealthy in maintaining a good mental health. So you can practice exposure therapy until the cows come home. If you're still doing stuff that are going to be stimulating and hurting your nervous system, then it's going to be a bit of a challenge to overcome it.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I overcame my fear of anxiety, but I still had rumbles of anxiety and low mood and fatigue and all that, because I was still people pleasing, drinking, taking on too much, and yeah.
And look,
Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, yes. And you do cover alcohol consumption here too, which I think is brilliant, because I think that with people who have some undiagnosed mental health issues, such as depression and anxiety, there is a tendency to drink to control that. There is a tendency to do drugs as well, either dope or something like that to calm yourself down. And I don't see that there's anything wrong with that in the beginning, until you realize, look, maybe I do have a problem with anxiety or with depression or one of those things. And then you go and get some help, because I think a lot of people do start self-medicating in the beginning. But yeah, go
definitely
on.
with me, I was using it. I was using it to numb how I felt in the evenings so I could sleep. But then the next day I'd feel awful, and then that would make me feel anxious and fatigued and everything. And I've been alcohol free now for nearly 3 months, and I did it before, but slipped back into it over Christmas. But this time, no, I don't miss it. I feel great. If I wake up at 6 in the morning, I feel great. I feel so different.
Yeah.
That I'm not missing it. But some people can, you know, I'm not saying don't drink. I can't moderate. I couldn't moderate. If I opened a bottle of wine and I couldn't just have one glass. I'd have to finish the bottle. Now I'd stop there, but still that was enough to affect me the next day, and I didn't want that.
No, and look, there are studies around anxiety and depression that if you were to drink more than you should, or you were taking drugs, that the next day you get more of a rebound effect. So whereas you might have a mild anxiety, the next day it would be slightly higher. Yeah. And so I guess a lot of people don't realize that having that drink actually makes your anxiety, depression higher the next day. And then maybe that evening you drink more to bring it down again.
It's something that what is in alcohol has a calming effect on the brain. So the other chemicals think, oh, they're relaxed. So they don't need more of it. They don't need that much. So they drop it. They drop the natural chemicals down. But the alcohol effect wears off pretty quick.
Yeah.
So then you're left with that, a much lower, plus what it does to your body, it puts stress on the body internally. So, yeah. Please don't think this book is a do not do this, do not do that. It's just the stuff that I kind of realised were holding me back, really.
And look, that's what I'm saying, is that this covers so many different things for people. And it's good because people that are having anxiety might be thinking, oh, well, I shouldn't be drinking. I shouldn't be doing this. And this explains that it can be good for you. Lots of people do it. You're not abnormal by having a drink if you have anxiety. You know, I was talking to someone, it might have even been you, about,
it's a choice.
you know, go out to like a Christmas party or something, and you know you're very reserved and you have anxiety and you're not one of the people that's up there with everybody else. You have a couple of drinks and then you're thinking, wow, I feel actually amazing, and the people around you are going, wow, I didn't know this person drank a lot like that. But it's because you're trying to cover up your anxiety so that you can get out and chat
and
to
I'm
people.
actually having more fun now than when I used to drink.
Well, I haven't drunk for about 14 years, and that was because of my chronic fatigue. But now if I have a drink, I just have a sip and I go, what am I drinking for? I don't really want it. I don't miss it.
Brilliant.
All right, so can we go to page 47, anxiety symptoms?
Oh, yeah.
I'll read a couple for you while you're finding it. So panic attacks, sudden bursts of fear and intense unease that seem to come out of nowhere. Derealization, feeling detached from the world and anything around me, like I was in a weird and scary dream state. Well, that's what I just said I had, and you know it is terrible to have them.
It's awful. And I've since learned that. At first, I thought that was signs that I was absolutely losing my mind and that I would be carted away and locked away. But it's actually how the brain takes over to try and protect itself from all the worrying and the, you know, the stress that you're putting it under. So all that trying to fix myself, I got to fix myself, I got to find this, I got to do this, I shouldn't feel that, I should feel that, I caused so much overwhelm, and obviously the nervous system sensitized highly, that the brain just thought, right, she's not listening, she's not doing herself any favors, and it shuts down or slows things down to protect itself. And that's definitely why you get DPDR. Well, I never got the depersonal one, but I did, or if I did, I didn't identify it as that. Mine was more, nothing felt real or looked real to me. It was like I was in this dream, horrible dream state, and that would come and go. But yeah, it's one of the most scariest symptoms I've experienced.
Yeah, oh, it's awful. And you know, as I said, I had it, and just that feeling of not knowing what's happening, and am I dying, and you know, and you know, my dad, I mean, he was doing his best when I got home, but I said, oh my God, I just collapsed in the shopping center, and I was crying and blah blah blah. And he goes, it's okay, you're home now, you're going to be fine. And I'm like, I don't feel fine. He's going, no, you'll be fine, you know. And you go to the doctors, and then the doctor's like, oh wow, you're a bit young to be feeling like this, aren't you? And it's like, I don't know, am I?
And I know there's a lot of, oh, it's just anxiety. It is. It is just anxiety. But when anxiety gets to really high levels, it is awful. It is terrifying, because anxiety's only purpose is to get your attention, to get you out of harm's way. That's all it's for. Yeah. And so when it's firing off at high levels, but you're sat in your armchair or sat at the dinner table, it's going to really, really be uncomfortable. And so,
because we need the anxiety for fight or flight, don't we?
Yeah, we need the anxiety to survive. Otherwise, we just walk straight in front of a train, or, you know, we wouldn't have that awareness, and we wouldn't have that quick response. But that's why I think educating yourself on what it is, and realizing how you've got yourself into this loop, which I did for years, and then stopping doing things that keep you in that loop, and gradually. So for me, it was lifestyle, parts of my lifestyle, behaviors like people pleasing, and not feeling like I could speak my truth. That for me was, that's when the inner child thing came in. And then gradually exposing yourself to, I hate saying that because it sounds so rude.
Well, when you said it, I was thinking exposing myself.
But exposing yourself, sorry, to your triggers and your fears, because those triggers are what I don't like this because it sounds like I'm blaming, but I'm not. We've developed that trigger. So I can't go in my car and drive to on a motorway is a fear that you've created and you believe. So when you get in that car, the first thing your brain is going to do to protect you is say you're in danger, and then the adrenaline comes. So it's gradually getting in the car, saying, I know that my brain currently thinks I'm in danger when I'm in the car, but I'm not, and I'm going to show the brain that I'm not by doing a 5-minute drive.
Yeah.
And then doing it, you know, that kind of gradual approach helped me.
Well, look, we've just had a question, which is, how do you get anxiety levels to reduce before you can do exposures?
I've put that in this book.
Oh, yeah, you have
because
to.
because when your anxiety levels are so high, that I think the last thing you need is to go out and try exposure therapy. So
Yeah,
it is
definitely.
about learning how to reduce and soothe yourself. And so when my anxiety levels were high, and this sounds, you know, it'll be different for everyone, but I started doing things that took very little effort from my brain. And so I would do painting on numbers or
Yeah,
jigsaws. I took myself out of work because, you know, I couldn't properly recover if I was trying to act normal in work. I didn't feel
yeah,
normal. You know, my anxiety levels were through the roof. So and then I just concentrated on stuff like that. If I couldn't eat, I'd smoothies, or I kept hydrated. I did jigsaws. I used to play Scrabble with my dad. I do painting by numbers, sit in the garden. And sometimes I just Zoom with a friend. This is after obviously we got the internet. Zoom with like-minded people that you feel comfortable talking about how you feel, and without any urgency to recover. It was all
yeah.
about just reducing those levels, and it works. So if you're trying to reduce your levels while trying to do a full-time job or putting everything else to the forefront, it's gonna be hard. So you kind of have to put yourself first and do the minimum to try and get
And I
those.
guess also to that as well is if you go and see a doctor and they suggest you go on medication, there's nothing wrong with doing that, because going on the medication can slow things down for you to be able to think things through. But then also ask them for talk therapy, counseling, a psychologist, someone who can help you as well, because I feel
Yeah,
both work really well together. But if you just
yeah,
rely on the medication, then you're going to stay in that bubble of medication. And when you stop the medication, you'll probably still be where you started from, unless you do some talk therapy, or as you're
I
saying,
think
find some things that relax you, because we don't want to just think, all right, I've got over it now, stop the medication, and then go, hold on a sec, I still feel exactly the same as I was 12 months ago.
yeah. And you're absolutely right. And I hold my hands up every single time my anxiety escalated to that, where it was 24/7. I went on meds because they gave me the breathing space that I needed
Yeah,
to then work on myself and work on
perfect.
and you know, people who say, oh, that didn't work for me. Fine. We're all different. We're all different. And I am not ashamed of the fact that I did meds, because I think they saved my life.
Yeah,
At one stage, without a doubt, I know. At the stage when I had no idea what anxiety was. But there's nothing wrong with them as long as you use them in line with therapy, or, you know, some sort of, well, therapy, yeah.
yeah.
I think they're sensible sometimes, because it's hard. It's definitely hard.
I
And
think it's
I
also,
said,
it's a good way to, if you're suffering from anxiety, to be able to break that anxiety, slow it right down, and give you a stopgap to be
yeah,
able to breathe.
your
And
breathing space.
yeah, because
And
otherwise you're just
another
going to have
mistake,
everything running around in your head.
and another mistake that I made over and over again, and I know that lots of people do, is you start to feel better and things start to improve, and you forget about the self-care,
Yeah,
and you forget about the not eating properly and going to, and then the levels start, you know, the levels start increasing again. And it's not that anxiety's just come back out of nowhere. It's
yeah.
because you're doing stuff that's encouraging it to come back. So yeah, it is. It sounds exhausting when you read the kind of things you have to do, but actually you feel so good that why wouldn't you do them if
Look,
you're going to feel like,
I think there's a bit of hesitation in, look, with my mum, she's 81, she suffers anxiety, and I'll sit and talk to her about breathing techniques, about thinking that you're somewhere else, mindfulness, and she'll say to me a couple of days later, I tried, it didn't work. And I think what we need
Yeah.
to realize is that all these things aren't going to be do it once, do it twice, and you're back to normal. You need to keep doing them, and you will find that after a week, after 2 weeks, after 20 days, you'll start to go, actually, I feel more calmer. Because these tools, even though they sound like they're too easy to do, they are too easy. But when you stick to them, you'll find that they make changes.
Yeah.
Because people go,
also,
oh, that can't work. Of course it does. You just have to
and when
stick
you
with it.
first start doing stuff, you've still got that really deep neuro pathway.
Yeah.
Saying I'm in danger, anxiety's awful, anxiety. So when you're doing the breathing exercises, when you're going for a walk around your garden, when you're going in the car, that is the loudest noise. And you believe it. So each time you do the opposite of what, that fear, it starts smoothing out and eventually disappears. And it takes 30 days minimum to start a new habit and start believing it. So it is about anxiety recovery is about repetition, consistency, and knowing, this is massive, believing that you can. Because if you go and do all these things and you believe you can't, it's going to be an uphill battle. Really.
Well, look, there's someone here who's watching us, and I hope she won't mind me saying, but there's been a couple of times when she's been struggling, and we did some affirmations, I think about a year ago, which she said helped because it calmed her down. And the other day she was overthinking a lot, and I suggested to her to write those overthinking thoughts down. And then they're not running around in your head, in your subconscious. They're in front of you, and you can look at them when you need to. But getting it out of your head, it gives your head room to breathe and think about other things. And then we actually did, I think it's like Words for Friends, and we played a game of that. And she said it actually helps because it stops her thinking. Yeah. And it's exactly with my mum. I do the same thing for my mum. I play Words for Friends because when she's thinking of words, she's not overthinking about her life and how long she's got left and all these other things that she worries about.
Yeah. And also it's, a cultural thing plays a part. Or is it, what I'm saying is, like, with my dad, when he was getting older, he was 88 when he passed, trying to teach him stuff at that age, stuff that he'd be thinking, I can't do breathing exercises. It's really hard. So with my dad, I used to kind of try and relax him by playing music.
Yeah.
And then getting him into conversations about the old days and stuff. And you could see it because he was scared of dying. Yeah. And I could see him relaxing. Through doing stuff like.
Yeah, with her Parkinson's, I sat with her one day and her one hand was shaking a lot. And I held her hands and I said, I want you to close your eyes. And I did a mindfulness thing that I did on my podcast a few years ago. And I said, we're on we're by the blue ocean, we're on the sand. You can feel the warmth of the sun, the gentle breeze. Now just focus on my voice. Don't focus on your hands. Because she says, I can't stop it. And we got her hands to not stop completely, but to really calm down. She started breathing better. And afterwards I said, how was that? And she said, it was good, but it won't work again. And I went, but it does if you believe it. And we can do stuff like this, where it's just sitting and talking, so these things do work. It's just that people need to think about it and go, actually, I'm going to try it and I'm going to stick with it for 7 days. Let's say to people, if you have anxiety, let's try 7 days and just see if there's a change. If there's a small change, hallelujah, how great is that? Then extend it to 14 days. We're not saying to you, you have to do this for 30 days because we don't want you to get anxious about it, but just do some breathing techniques and things for a few days and see how you feel.
I remember speaking to someone and I said, well, it's not working for me, this exposure therapy. It's just not working. And they said, I said, I've been doing it for years. Doesn't work. And actually, when I was asked what I was doing, I wasn't doing exposure. I was white knuckling. So I wasn't open to feeling it and letting it process. I was, God, go do the exposure. I hope anxiety doesn't come. Oh my God, it's coming. No, it isn't. Getting home, and that was close. That is not exposure. That is white knuckling. And I did that for years. I did it for years. And it's, you know, that's why finding a really good guide who will call you out on that as well really helps.
Look, I think that's another thing to do with counselling and psychologists is there are some people who will go and say, this is what's happening to me, blah, 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 blah. And the therapist might go, oh, well, what about if we try this? Oh, no, it won't work. Or they don't trust the therapist, or the therapist might bring something up that they don't really want to accept that that's what they do. Because I know a couple of psychologists who say, you know, we get probably 5 to 10 people a year who come in, they tell their story, they come a couple of sessions. When you try and push them that little bit, then they go, oh, this isn't working for me. And when you see a therapist, you just have to remember that they're trying to help you. They're not trying to out you on something. They want to get to the root of your problem and be able to work with you to work through that problem.
Absolutely. And I think with therapists, they want you to get well. They don't want you to be on their books for years. They want a good, you know, psychologist or psychotherapist doesn't want you sitting around for 2-3 years on their, seeing them. They want you to get well. So it looks good on them, and it looks good, you know, it's going to give you your life back. So I always say that you've got to put the work in. You know, you can be guided by the best, but if you don't actually do the work, you're not going to get the results that you could get if you did do the work. And you are capable. It's only your mind that's saying, oh, what if it gets to the point of no return? What if I get so anxious and I'm so overwhelmed, I'm lost forever? That's just the mind telling you that, because in reality, you've had really bad anxiety and you're still here and you're still okay. So it doesn't get to the point of no return. It never will. I know, because that was one of my fears, and you know, 30 years later and I'm still here.
But it's a genuine fear, isn't it? Because when you're like that, you really believe that. And you know, when I had the anxiety attacks, I felt like I would never get better. That was the end of my life. What was I going to do? I'm never going to have anything or be anything because I can't control it. And at the time, I was doing amateur theatre, so I had that constant every night having to get up on stage, sing, dance, act. I could do that easy. But when it came to little things, it was like, oh no, I can't do this. I can't do it. Why can't I do it?
There's I saw last night, there's a program, Gary Newman. Do you remember him?
Oh, yeah.
He was at Wembley, and this was 50 years ago, was it? Or 40 years ago?
It can't be 50 years ago. We're not that old.
No, not me. Him. I think he's about 70.
Oh, he can't be 70, Gary Newman.
He is.
Oh, yeah. Well, he had a big hit in 1976, didn't he?
Yeah. So anyway, he's at Wembley and he walks off. And the room's packed. And what he was saying, and he's doing a gig now, 50 years later, I think it is.
He's
and
62.
He said, he's what?
Someone just said, Redette said he's 62.
Right. I think he's older than that, or maybe it was 30 years ago. But he's doing a gig. He said the panic, the anxiety, he just couldn't cope with it. He couldn't cope with it. So he walked off. And then when the place emptied, he refused to go back on. And when the place emptied, he went and sat at the front and thought, what have I done? what have I done? I've had similar happen to me, not performing in Wembley because I'm not a singer, but I've had stuff where I've left. I've really bought into what my anxiety's telling me, and I've gone. I've done a runner, and then after thought, oh, why did I do that? And he's done that, but he admits now that he wasn't in the place. He didn't understand, the fear and the anxiety. It was all too much.
Yeah.
And now he's coming back at sellout 50 years later. I'm sure it's 50 years later, a sellout show at Wembley. That proves to me that it's not catastrophic. You can come back from it, whatever. If you walk out, if you, while you're recovering, if you walk out of things, if you say, no, I'm not doing that, I'm not going there, it's not the end of the world, and you will get out of this. It doesn't mean that you will never not recover. It just means you're not ready at the moment.
Well, look, when I was doing that theatre show,
weight.
oh, definitely. I had a couple of nights where because I was up on a high platform, I had to start up there, and I would jump down just before the curtains going up, run in the toilet, feel like I was going to be sick, and then come back and be fine. And it was either the director or the choreographer said to me, look, you're not alone. There are lots of actors who, before they do a scene, will go off and throw up, and then they feel okay. So
Adele.
Adele, yeah, that calmed me down. But I think this was someone like Al Pacino or someone like that was having the panic attacks and being sick before they went on.
It's absolutely normal, and it's something. I was talking to Josh Conley, who I think he's a young guy, he's in his 30s, but he's definitely one that he's got it. He knows, he's sussed it, and he said, it can't be that everyone's developing an illness called anxiety. It's the way the body is reacting to how we live in society. And I think, God, that's so true.
Yeah.
We're always on the go. We're overloading ourselves. We're not.
And we are so overstimulated now with social media and stuff like that.
All the time.
We never take a break. We're a 24/7 culture.
So, I just think the book is not academic, but it's just how I got here.
Where can people get this book from, Lisa?
So you get it from, I hate saying this, but it's Amazon, because I know lots of people don't like Amazon. It's on Audible as well, if you want it in audio. And
what's wrong with Amazon, though?
Well, nothing. It's just some people
where people
don't
buy
like
a lot of their stuff.
Amazon. I've just had people say that they would prefer not to buy from Amazon for ethical reasons, but
can they buy direct off your website?
The thing is, it's the postage that's huge. Oh yeah, they can go on my website and it goes straight to Amazon. I do have books, but if you're in the UK, you can buy direct from me. But the postage everything's gone up now, isn't it?
Look, postage. Before we had Amazon in Australia, I loved Amazon. I bought so many books because they came from America. They were like a third of the price, and they'd give me free postage. I loved it. Then Amazon Australia started. Not allowed to buy from Amazon America anymore. And Australian, they just don't have the psychology books and that I want to buy. And as I said to you, I tried to get your book and I couldn't get it. Everywhere I tried was sold out.
Bizarre.
But luckily, I know the chick who wrote this, and she sent me a copy.
But it's kind of like, the postage was more than the book.
I know.
I don't understand that. I don't understand why.
Well, remember, if people are living outside of the UK, they can get this sent by sea mail.
You can get it on Kindle. You can get it on Kindle, and by mid-May, I'll be able to sell the ebook direct from my website. But at the moment, I'm tied to Kindle with it.
Yeah,
I'm not
but
allowed
if you want to get it from outside of the UK, sea mail, it will arrive in 2029. So just relax. It'll be here.
So, yeah, and I'm really grateful if anyone does buy it and read it, if they could put a review on there on Amazon.
Do you want me to put one on there for you?
Yes, please. Because that every little helps with that. So that'd be great. And yeah, if you don't follow me, pop over to my page and have a look. If you don't follow Dan, you must follow Dan because he's awesome. Pop over to his page because I know this is going to be shared.
Yeah, we're going to share this, so you'll be able to either get it on Lisa's page, which is at Simply Anxious, or this page, which is life_changes_you_podcast. There's also another live that we did, I think, about 3 months ago. So you can go back and listen to that one because it was brilliant, and that's why Lisa's back, because so many people said, "Can Lisa come back?"
And we'll be doing another, won't we, Dan? We'll be doing more.
I'm waiting to still do one on your channel.
Oh, I'll bring you over then.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that on DM.
So look, this has been great. I mean, is there anything else you want to cover in the Simply Anxious Lisa Towers book?
No, there was, you know.
I do like that you've got your favourite quotes in there. That's really good. And you've written a little bit about why it is a good quote. Because when I put the picture up of me on my Facebook, on my Instagram, and I said how great it was and where people could buy it, they said, "Well, can you tell me more about it?" And I thought, well, I don't want to tell you more about it because I want you to buy it. If I tell you all about it, there's no point buying it. But there is, because there's so much stuff in here.
I just put, this book aims to support those suffering from anxiety, wherever they are on their journey, whether awaiting therapy or going solo. It is a perfect springboard for those struggling between therapy sessions or those who want to learn how to help themselves. And, you know, if I could have given it to a proper author to write it, but I wanted my authenticity to come out of it. I wanted me to come out of it. And yeah, I did get somebody else to audio record it because I haven't got a voice for audio.
Oh, of course you have. Look, I mean, I read it and because I know you now, I could hear you almost telling me about your story. And what I liked about it is it's really easy to read and to relate to and to understand. You're not pushing an agenda. Hold on, she's going to knock the thing over. And I liked these little bits at the back where you say about your favourite quotes and the ones that you've put up that are yours. So there's just so much, and it explains things like avoidance and exposure. And I liked, you know, your toolbox. These are things that people don't find out about unless they talk to someone like you, because a counsellor doesn't say, "Oh, well, you need a toolbox to take with you." And if they did, the person would probably go, "Well, why do I need that?" But hearing from you what you used to carry, what I just said, I used to carry my medication, they then feel like, well, I'm not stupid. I'm not weird because I'm carrying it with me. It's what you need at the time.
I mean, Dr. Claire Weekes was the book that changed everything for me. But I wanted a book, and I promote that till the cows come home on my page. But I wanted to produce something that I wish I could have read when I first started suffering, and that's it.
Yeah.
Not overcomplicating the brain even more, you know, just the simple things that help me and give some validation to what you're feeling and what you're going through. So, yeah.
Well, look, it's been brilliant as always, and lots of people have popped in and out. Look, there's been so many comments that I got lost in talking to you, but looking forward to reading your books. Thank you, Lisa. Excellent book. Great. Love this live. Thank you so much. I'll definitely be watching more. You're both
Thanks,
awesome.
everyone.
Hey, I like that one. Yeah, look, We're
What
both
did it
awesome.
say?
We're both awesome.
Oh, thank you. That's so kind of you.
As
Honestly,
I've said before on
I
these
just,
lives, if people come and listen for the half hour and get something from it, then we've done something great.
it's worth it.
Because because that's what we want. We want people to understand themselves better and understand
And
from
not
us
to
that
feel alone.
no, it's happened to us. We're open about it. We don't go, oh, but we're the oracle and we know all the information. These things have happened to us, so we know. And this book is worth buying because it's just easy to read. And you know, I'm waiting for your second book now because I finished that one.
Well, I'm writing a book on whippets, actually.
Whippets! Oh, I love that.
I'm writing because they're a massive part of my life now, and there's not a lot out there on whippets, and so I want to write a book that's that will help anyone who's considering being a whippet owner, because I've got 3. No, but they'll be.
Come on. This is come on, you got to come here. Come on. This is a half whippet, half staffy. And that's what she looks like.
So beautiful.
And she's just beautiful.
She is beautiful.
But I did have 2 whippets before her, and then she was advertised as half whippet, and I thought, yeah, look, I've got to have her.
She's beautiful. Mine are in the garden sunbathing.
Oh, nice. Oh, you got sun there today.
Yeah.
Rare occasion.
Don't be shocked. Don't be shocked.
Today to celebrate in England.
Absolutely, it's gorgeous. So she's lovely. Again.
Go to @SimplyAnxious on where are we? Instagram. And are you anywhere else? You have a website, don't you?
I'm on Facebook and I'm on Twitter, but it kind of feeds from this. You know, this is like my baby.
Facebook, but I rarely use them. When I do something here, it goes over to Facebook, and Twitter I hardly read. I don't have the time, you know.
I'm doing a bit of dabbling on TikTok, but I'm not sure.
Oh, look, I watched a TV show saying how the TikTok people were just taking all our personal information, and it's made me a little bit, I don't know if I want to go on there.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you ever so much, everyone.
Thank you.
I'm really
thank you, everybody, for being on and
listening to me. And Dan, for having me. Brilliant. You're such a star.
No, that's good. I'm trying to learn to take compliments because I don't usually take them. But no, look, thank you so much because I love having you on here because we always have a great conversation. We do steer a bit off track, but we always give good information and I guess a bit of fun as well.
Yeah, which is important, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is important. So, yeah, thanks again and love to everyone.
Take care. And this will be up in about 10 minutes if you want to rewatch it. Or if you want to go back and watch it, and also go back and watch the last one. Can I tag you in the last one we did? Will that come up? Can I edit that and tag you or not?
Yeah, you can tag me in that, but on this one,
you're going to be a collaborator.
And then it's collaborate because then it's on my page. It's the only way it'll show on my page.
So we can't go back and edit and put you as a collaborator on the last one?
No.
Okay.
No. Thank you.
So Amanda just said, Mister, can I watch it back? Yeah, in about 10 minutes, it'll be up on Instagram. You can watch it on mine or Lisa's. Anyone who wants to watch it, go there. And it'll also be on my YouTube channel now.
Wow, I didn't know you had one of them.
You had 527 views of our last one that we did.
Oh, I'll have to go over there. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. All right, bye-bye. Have a good week, everybody.
Bye. Take care, everyone. See you soon.
The podcast on Sunday. Bye-bye.